The whole thing inside.
If that's possible.
Let the fun commence. I should have had a Xanax before this, shouldn't I?
The one that really sticks in my mind is when he really told me off. Ben has been such a huge influence on my design career. He very much inspired me and started the passion for the subject, which ultimately took me to working in design for about 25 years or so. But I was also hugely grateful to him in the pastoral sense as a sub-tutor of D-Social from my early days in the shells. My dad left on that first day as a shell, first evening as a shell. My dad so abruptly stuck out his hand and shook my hand, which he'd never really done before, and left the social. And I turned around, and it was Ben Holden was the one who kind of went, so, you know, I hear you into sailing. What do you sail? And he was the one who sort of took me in, which was, yeah, perhaps.
I've been here nearly 5 years, and the thing I remember him for the most is just helping out not just students but also staff when times are difficult. So I've faced my own personal struggles at times during the last 5 years, and Ben's just been such a calm, collected, confident and kind person to talk to that it really helped me when I did have those troubles and I was really struggling. So I'll definitely miss that. And also his sense of humour, especially when he's talking to all of us at the beginning of term, never fails to make me chuckle. I'm not sure if he means to, but it always makes me laugh anyway.
He's probably the nicest man I've ever met. He's a man for all occasions. I think he's done so much at Radley in terms of running his department, running the boarding house, being Sub-Warden, but he's only ever applied for one job, and that was to be a teacher here of DT at Radley College. But he's a man who's called in when he's needed. He's a man who's called in when there is something that needs to be done, a job that needs to be done. And he does it just brilliantly. He does it without any fuss. He does it without any pomp or ceremony. He just does a fantastic job in everything that's thrown at him.
What's Ben like? As a bloke, he is great fun. He hides it well, but he's great fun. He likes a drink, particularly whiskey on occasion. He likes his sailing, he likes his fishing. He's a great designer, restorer of a Morris Minor. Not many people knew about that or saw that happen. Great design teacher in his own right. Loved pottering about with boats, particularly sailing and fishing, as I said. He's just been an all-round top man in his time here. When they first started in D-Social, it was slightly tricky for them. And for anybody who knew D-Social or was attached to D-Social, my apologies, but it was definitely the jungle house of the college. It's no understatement to say that they civilised the place. They turned out some really nice boys out of D-Social, and they did a fantastic job in their time there in a sort of caring family atmosphere.
Now, I've got great admiration for all the tutors who can run a social successfully, but someone who can take over a social where something's gone wrong, it's the most difficult job in the world, and he made an amazing job of it. And his cultural evenings were something else. We've already seen an episode of Ben being the ghost of Christmas past, and cleverly it was called the dress rehearsal.
Fred, I suppose he was. Is that why you resent him so? I suppose that is so as also. I can't read any of these lines with my contact lenses.
And also he did something called Books at Bedtime.
Where's Molly gone? She's got bored.
And here, I think the star of the show for me was at the end when the dog seemed to take over the comparing. The making of the COVID film. And I think my favourite line in the whole thing was,
"We want the experience to be as near normal as possible in September."
and of course the Mary Berry cake competition. The thing I noticed most was how many times Ben dropped the knives.
I can offer you a selection of weapons. Whoops! I'm not quite sure why it's called a nugget, Mary.
I don't know that I want to know. It might be saucy.
We were in chapel 15 minutes before the first service, and soothing Ben wanders in to ask me how things are going, and he just said in passing, "Where's the lectern?" And obviously it's one of these moments where panic set in, and I went over and started rifling through all the bits of timber and stuff left over at the end of the job, and I found the lectern in 2 bits, which was a little bit of a comedy moment until you realise that we were just about to open. So Ben said, "Leave it to me." So Ben went off into DT and started smashing around in there to find something. And then he came back with probably the most inappropriate fixing that you could see. A big metal angle bracket screwing the 2 pieces together. I said, "Thank you very much. Well done, you've saved the day." But I was horrified that everyone's eyes would be on the chaplain and the lectern and this piece of industrial metal underneath this lovely carved lectern. Nobody noticed, and the amusing thing is I've never changed it. If you go back there today, it is still there, so Ben's handy-ish work is still part of the chapel upgrade.
Working in healthcare, I think you have to have a certain character, and you are faced with quite a lot of challenges, and I guess a DSL role is quite similar. In that and the pastoral lead role, he has been absolutely solid as a comfort and as a support to staff and to pupils. As a confidant, as a manager, he has been so supportive and a really great colleague to work with, and I will miss him terribly. So thank you, Ben, for the last 12 years.
From a personal perspective as well, he's been very supportive, he's been a great friend. My wife also worked with his wife for 14, 15 years. She taught his daughter as well, so there's always been that connection between the 2 families, and he's always been someone that I could go to and speak candidly with and look for advice, and yeah, he's a real sort of, you know, some of the Radley legends, people that you think about who've been here a long time and contributed a huge amount, and someone that I know that myself and other members of staff, other tutors, boys will sincerely miss when he retires.
I've known Ben wearing several hats at Radley, as a social tutor, as Sub-Warden, and as our safeguarding lead. Now, as chairman of council, the safeguarding of the boys is the most important priority that we have, and I can't tell you how much comfort the care and attention that Ben has put into that topic and the boys' well-being brings to all of us as trustees on council.
Ben has been an outstanding servant of Radley College, and the words I guess I'd use about Ben most are calm and thoughtful. So whenever we've got the most difficult situation, and as DSL he has to deal with the most difficult situations, he is always calm and thoughtful, and the boys are at the forefront of everything that he does. He has been a truly outstanding servant of the college. One moment to remember? Well, probably the Mary Berry moment, when for some reason he, not me, and I can't say why, was asked to be the compere for the cake judging competition when Mary Berry came as part of the 175 anniversary. He said to me earlier in the day, "I don't know why I've been asked, because I don't even like cake." But you couldn't have told he was the perfect foil to Mary Berry as they judged the cakes.
This end of the table are all created by the boys, and I have to say, Mary, looking at them, I'm extremely proud of what the boys have done here.
I mean, the wind's taken out of my sails. They would win any bake-off. Shall I do the boys first?
Would you like to? Yes. We'll do the boys first of all, because I think that's probably going to be a bit more of a challenge.
Yes.
Perhaps one other memory, if you can find in the Radley video archive his famous video on health and safety on the return from COVID, you will see him pointing upstairs and downstairs, deeply bored, but doing the job he was asked to do. And that's Ben. He's always done what's asked of him. What a great Radley College servant.
So Ben, thank you so much for all the support and your generosity during the time that I've worked here at Radley. And good luck.
Thank you for all the friendship and the advice and the great professionalism and everything for Radley over the last 3.5 decades or whatever it is. Thank you, Ben.
Ben, thank you very much for everything you've done over many years.
Ben, we are so grateful.
Now, what does one say after that? Invariably, if I'm reflecting on that period of time, you know, it's 37 years, it's very difficult to hone in on any one particular moment. But you know, as I have inevitably been thinking about my time at Radley, the thing I've been focusing on is just the people, actually. All the extraordinary people that I've been able to spend time with. My colleagues and most especially the boys, I guess. In the process of trying to sort out a house that was just crammed full of 30 plus years of stuff. There's an awful lot of photographs in there, and just looking at the faces, and some of those faces are boys that were here in the 80s and 90s and are now parents of boys that are here in 2024. I would just remember so many good times and sharing experiences with so many different people. In terms of trying to pick out any one particular period of time, then it would unquestionably have to be the time I spent in D-Social. It was a little tricky to start with, but once we got through that initial period, it was just the best fun imaginable. Wonderful boys, mischievous, absolutely, but wonderful boys, great times, and those are the memories I will cherish the most, particularly those evenings on a Wednesday or a Saturday, sat round the kitchen table in D-Social, or in the summer months out in the garden around the brazier after yet another barbecue. It's that sort of 12-year period, I think, for me was probably the time that I have enjoyed the most. Although that said, actually being in the design department with some extraordinary colleagues and having the facility that we have, Radley is and always has been at the forefront of design and technology. We got a head start on all other schools thanks to Dennis Silk and his passion for the subject, and then Richard Morgan, who also felt very strongly that technology was important, as indeed we all know now that it absolutely is. We've got an extraordinary facility, and my passion for being able to design and make stuff has it's strung deep in that department. One of the things I will certainly miss is not being able to just wander in there and create, but I will do my best to try and find somewhere in the west of Ireland where I can be creative. Anything that I won't miss? Policies. I won't miss policies. Paperwork, probably won't miss that a huge amount either. I won't miss the disappointment that comes when I have to deal with boys that are being unkind to one another. I mean, that for me is always a real low point when I hear that someone has been, behaving in a manner that's made someone else's life uncomfortable. That's, for me, is probably the thing I will very happily say goodbye to. Yeah, it's been a remarkable privilege to spend the time that I have spent here, and that was in 1987. I was extraordinarily fortunate to have been successful in that application, and thereafter I've just happened to have been in the right place, or the wrong place possibly, at the right time. And on each occasion where a new opportunity or a new request has come my way, there has been some apprehension, obviously, in taking on something that very often felt like it was outside my comfort zone. But when that apprehension is overcome, the enjoyment, the real enjoyment of roles like head of design and the social tutor, that's been really special. Yeah, and I'm hugely grateful for the confidence that a succession of wardens have seen to feel in me.